to Beis Medrash Galea, BMG, the largest yeshiva in North America, the second largest yeshiva in the world, and one of the largest yeshivas in Jewish history. And it is an honor. My name is Hillel Eisenberg. In addition to learning down there every single morning, I also do classes in Princeton University. I teach nuclear physics. I'm joking. I do not teach nuclear physics. I teach the fundamentals of Judaism, which, by the way, is far more complex and far more nuanced than nuclear physics. If anyone is trying to get into Princeton, you could speak to me afterwards. I might have some tips for you. But anyway, it's a great honor and privilege to share some words of chizuk with you. And I want to just explain a little bit why there are 1,000 people who, by the way, are not 18. They're 25 and 35 and 45 and 55, who took the prime earning potential years of their career, their lives, and instead of going to Wall Street and making lots of money, and instead of going to Manhattan, are in there crammed like a sardine in a room meant for 200 people. They have 1,000 people. Why are these people doing that? Why are the people there foregoing the life of making a lot of money? These are not sort of low levels, brainless or quasi-mediocre brains. Some of the sharpest minds in North America are sitting in that room right now. Speak to them afterwards. Why are they foregoing in the middle of the day when they could be baking it in Wall Street? Yet they're here. Why is that? So I want to share with you an idea that I think will not only explain a little bit why the heck they're there doing that, but give you a little bit of a fresher perspective in Judaism in general and learning Torah specifically. So I want to begin with the following. How many religions can you name in world history? How many religions can you name? Anyone?
Like 15, 10, 15, I would say.
Okay, 10 and 15. Anyone else can name some religions? Shoot out. Hinduism. Christianity. So how far do you go? Listen, between 10 and 15?
Yeah.
So most people, I think, know around 10 and 15 religions. Now, if you ask historians will give you the number of religions in world history between the number 5,500 and 6,000 religions have crept up on the face of this earth. And out of 6,000 religions, do you know how many have been around for over close to 3,700 years continuously? That is correct. There is only one that has been around for 3,700 years continuously, and that is the Jewish people. Longer than the Han's Chinese, far longer than the Eastern Mongolians, far longer than the Incas and the Aztecs and the Mayans don't even exist anymore, far longer than any African tribe, which are not even continuous. The Jewish people are the longest continuous religion and ethnic group and group of people on the face of the earth. The question is, why? How? Every 75 years or so throughout Jewish history, there has been a villain who rose up and made it his business to wipe out and destroy and annihilate the Jewish people. In the last 150 years alone, not 500, not 300, in the last 150 years, more Jews have been killed than any other religion combined. How are we still here? They say a funny story. There was once an evil king who decided to make new evil decrees for his empire. And he gathered all the Jews and he started listing off all the new evil, horrible decrees that the Jews were going to have to subjugate themselves to. And there's some women who are crying and there's people who fainted, but there's this one old man in the back who just cannot stop laughing. He can't stop laughing. So at first the king just ignores the guy. But eventually he just can't ignore him. And he says, yo, guy in the back, what's the deal? So the old man, turns to this king and he says, you really think you're the first person to start this up with the Jews? You really think so? You're not the first person. There was a guy, his name was Pyro. You know what he wants to do to us? He wants to annihilate all of us. You know what happened to him? He's gone. You know what we did to him? We turned him into matzah. There was a guy. His name was Haman. You know what he wants to do to us? He wanted to annihilate every single man, woman, and child. You know what happened to him? He's gone. You know what we did to him? We turned him into Hamantashen. There was a guy, his name was Antiochus. You know what he wanted to do to us? destroy all of us. You know what happened to him? He's gone. You know what we did to him? We turned him into latkes. So this old man turned to the king and said, when I hear you right now make new evil, horrible decrees, I cannot help myself but think that when you are gone and we're still here, what food will we one day make you into? Now it's a little bit of a joke, but how are we so sure? What gives us such confidence? How are we still here? You want to know the answer? It's because the people in that room. It's because the people like you who take time out of your week to come and take inspiration of people who no matter what and no matter when learn. With a gun to their head, they will continue learning. Put us into gas chambers, exile, dungeons. It makes no difference. They will forever keep on learning. Now the new question becomes, why? What is their drive to continue almost in the face of death? Why? Just close your gemaras, make a lot of money on Wall Street. Don't be so loud about your Jewishness. Every 75 years there's some villain who attacks us anyway. Why? Why is very nice? These people are the reason we're still here. What's their drive? So I want to answer you with a question that I'm not allowed to ask, but I'll ask it anyway. Politically incorrect question. But I like asking politically incorrect questions because I teach in Princeton. And if you don't ask politically incorrect questions in Princeton, how else am I going to survive? So, a politically incorrect question. Why should I dedicate even an ounce of emotional space to something written 2,000 years ago called the Torah, called Gemara, which by the way only gets in the way of my life? It only gives blockades and roadblocks and hurdles. It tells me what I can and cannot do constantly. Every single day when I wake up in the morning, one of the 613 mitzvahs comes screeching to a halt in front of my face, and it takes out a megaphone and it starts screaming, you can't do this, you could do this, you can't do that, you gotta eat like this, you gotta walk like that. It tells me how to think and when to think it. It tells me what to wear and when to wear it. It tells me what to say and when to say it. Whoa! Settle down! I should celebrate this? Maybe at best I'll tolerate it. I should celebrate it. I should count down the days of Sphira to the Jewish where we're going to get it again. I should dance with it on Simchas Torah. Not only that, we wear tzitzis, which is like a constant reminder, you know, the gematria and the string 613. Wherever I go, I can't run away. My tzitzis are always reminding me, beware, the Torah is watching. Mention I told you. Where you guys, where are you from?
All over.
Everywhere. Okay, so today, when you go back to everywhere, imagine I told you that all the lights are going to be red. All the traffic lights are just going to be red. And I'm God, guys. You're not going to celebrate that. Maybe you'll tolerate it. Every single day we wake up in the morning, we say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, shelo yasani goy. Thank you, Hashem, that you didn't make me a goy. What? I look at my 12th grade non-Jewish friends. They can eat whatever they want. They can look at whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. They got a million girlfriends. They can go on the internet and do whatever. Why? Why am I celebrating this? I'm grateful for this? Why should I donate even one additional emotional energy to this? The answer is that it's a complete philosophical mistake. It's a complete philosophical error. Because the Torah is not a long list of can and cannot. Hashem gets nothing out of us following His Torah, out of us not eating lobster. He gains nothing. He is perfect. You know why He gave us this book? Because it's the road book, it's the treasure map to living the most blissful, harmonious, peaceful existence on the face of the earth. Every single one of the 613 mitzvahs, every single one, and we can challenge, you can debate, we don't have time. Every single one of the 613 mitzvahs is designed to make your life better in this world. In this world. Forget about Olam Haba. Does anyone here know how many times Olam Haba is explicitly mentioned in the Torah? How many times is Olam Haba? 0 times. Because the Torah is a roadmap for this world, a blissful existence, the best marriages, the best kids, the best careers, the best emotional equilibrium. You better believe these people are going to spend a large chunk of their day exploring it. It is a treasure map to a blissful life. We live in a world, I'm not sure if I'm breaking news to you, that's a little bit crazy. You know, that 51% of marriages in America end up in divorce? 67% of second marriages end up in divorce? Do you know that according to the CDC, 18% of people are diagnosed with anxiety? Do you know that 29%, according to Johns Hopkins, are diagnosed with clinical depression? Do you know that the most sold drug in North America is antidepressants? Do you know that 47 million people in America have what's called occupational claustrophobia, which means that they hate their job and they can't move on and they're stuck? Imagine you're going to Disney World. Anyone here been to Disney World? Okay, so imagine you're going to Disney World. I was in Disney World recently. Went to Epcot. Imagine you're going to Epcot. Really big place, okay? And the day before you go to Epcot, there's a letter in the mail from the owner of Disney World. And he says, what's your name? Benjamin, my man. I know that you're coming to Disney World, and it's this huge, massive place, and you only have one day because you don't want to spend $900 a day going 5 days. So you just are dishing out $900,000 just for that one day to go to Disney World. And you only have around 10 hours. So the owner of Disney World says, included in this letter is a list of tips for you to maximize your time in Disney World. And it says, don't go there, not worth it, that ride, over it. Go this way, make sure to avoid that. Go here, don't eat at that hot dog stand, you're gonna get diarrhea. Go this way, go that way. Avoid that whole situation. That there's a worker there, she's nuts, just avoid it, go there. Don't talk to that person, he's bipolar. Go here, there. Are you gonna read this letter and be like, fuck, you're telling me what to do and not to do? I got this, bro. I got this. And you're just gonna crumple up the letter and throw it out. Isn't that dumb? The whole letter was written in order for you to maximize your time in Disney World. The same exact thing is true with the Torah. It's offering you a life of bliss, an amazing marriage, an amazing kids, an amazing time navigating often a crazy, chaotic world. Do you know the city in America that has, according to the FBI, with at least 100,000 people, the city in America that has the most violent crime? Anyone take a guess? That's a good guess.
Chicago.
Also a good guess.
New Jersey.
What is it?
Hampton, New Jersey.
Okay, so these are all good guesses. You have to factor in that when it's a big city, true, there's a lot of people doing crime. There's lots of millions of people not doing crime. So it won't get the title of most violent city in America. The most violent city in America with at least 100,000 people is Mobile, Alabama. Do you know the city in America with at least 100,000 people, according to the FBI's list, that has the least violent crime? Ready for it? Lakewood, New Jersey. Is that a coincidence? Oh, the city that has the highest concentration of Torah learners in all of North America also has the lowest level of violent crime? Of course it's not a coincidence, because of these people. They commit themselves to studying how to live a harmonious, blissful, pure, honest lifestyle. And you better believe they're going to spend time out of their day. They might even forego that really lucrative job which is demanding them to come for 26 hours a day. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have time. I got 5 hours in the day where I have to learn, because that's my life. Because that's a roadblock. It's a road map, a guidebook to living a blissful, harmonious life. I want to read you a quote from the New York Times. Sometimes it's good to quote from the New York Times because, don't take my word for it. Just listen to the New York Times. Listen to this. The New York Times once did a study. They wanted to know, who are the hypothetical happiest people in America? It'd be pretty cool to study that. If you call a gazillion people and you ask them, are you happy or not happy? And then if we can make a common denominator between those people and publish it in the front page of the New York Times, that'd be really helpful for Americans, right? Because here, these are the happiest people, and go follow what they do. Okay, this is a quote. You can look it up yourself. New York Times, March 6, 2011, Week in Review, Section 1, Page 3. Quote, the New York Times research staff called thousands of randomly selected adults each day for several months and asked them about their emotional status, their work satisfaction, their eating habits, their illnesses, stress levels, and other indicators of their quality of life. It's part of an effort to measure the components of the quote-unquote good life, okay? The responses are then plugged into a formula called the Gallup Healthways Well-Being Index. And the results show, quote from the New York Times, it's a quote, okay? The results show that the single happiest person in America is an observant Jew. New York Times, March 6, 2011, Week in Review, Section 1, page 3. Obviously, once they realized that it's an Orthodox Jew, it wasn't the front page, it was buried in the middle of the Week in Review section on the bottom. Is that a shocker to anybody? We are consciously studying how to live a harmonious lifestyle all day, every day. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to dedicate part of our day, even a small part, to constantly studying. I want to give you another quote, and then one more idea, a story, and then I want to end with a magic trick. Here's a quote. This is an unbelievable quote. This doesn't knock your socks off. I don't know what will. This is a quote from a man, a non-Jewish man living in 1943, who was living in Warsaw. Everyone here familiar with the Warsaw Ghetto? Right, a really bad time in Jewish history. This man was a journalist who wrote in his journal his observations of the Warsaw Ghetto from the outside. Listen up. I found a crack in the Warsaw Ghetto wall the other day, and I stole a glance. I expect to see humans in their lowest state, riddled with hate, violence, and abuse. I was expected to look out the poles outside of the ghetto, and I'd see light, and while inside, I'd see darkness. What I saw shook me to the core. I stole a glance, and I saw light. I saw love. I saw virtually zero domestic abuse. I saw virtually zero domestic violence. I saw children loving their parents. I saw families holding on for dear life. I saw homes filled with holiness and purity. I saw the sanctity of their Sabbath and the joy of their Sukkot. I saw the purity of their Yom Kippur and the sheer happiness of their Purim. I saw people maintain their respect for human life in one of the most horrid places on the face of the earth. I walked away from the crack in the ghetto wall, back to the supposed brighter side of humanity, back to the streets of Warsaw, now rid of its Jews, back to the homes with not even half as much light as the Jews behind those walls, back to the domestic violence and abuse, back to the city where our utopian bliss has been promised to us by the Third Reich. I am not sure what true happiness looks like, but the Jews, from even behind the ghetto walls, seem to be a whole lot closer to it than we are. I'm going to read that again. I am not sure what true happiness looks like, but the Jews, from even behind the Warsaw ghetto walls, seem to be a whole lot closer to it than we are. If that doesn't change your perspective at all about the importance of these people, the importance of you dedicating part of your week or day or month exploring an unconquerable ancient wisdom that has survived longer than any other peoples on the face of the earth, I don't know what will. I want to share with you one more idea, and then a story, and then a magic trick. Here's another idea. Imagine instead of going to Orlando, to Disney World, you wake up in the morning, you hear in the news, there's a meteorite, and it's crashing, it's zooming right to Earth, and it's going to blow up the whole world, and unless some astronaut guy goes up in a rocket ship and shoots that bad boy down, the whole world's going to explode, okay? And your uncle is an astronaut, okay? And being that he's your uncle, he was the one selected to go into this astronaut and shoot this meteorite down that's going to save the world, okay? And he asked, what's your name? Yaakov. He said, Yaakov, can you come with me and just watch? Pretty cool experience, right? You're like, you better believe I want to go watch. So you go with your uncle to Kennedy Space Center, and as he's walking up to the spacecraft, the spaceship, he says, Yaakov, why don't you come and take a peek inside of the spaceship? You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. And you're like, you better believe it. So you go. And as you're looking inside, there's like this code red flashing light, emergency, we gotta go right now. In that exact moment, your uncle has a stomachache, he can't go. He says, Yaakov, this is crazy, the astronauts aren't here, they didn't realize it to be an emergency, you gotta do this. So he grabs you and he says, it's no big deal, here, take this instruction manual, it's not complicated, just listen to it, and he shuts the door and you're flying off in space and the whole world rests on your shoulders to somehow navigate the spaceship and destroy that meteorite, okay? Are you going to take a look at this instruction manual and start leafing through and be like, oh, it says I can't press the red button, it says I have to press this, I can't touch that, I can't go near those wires. I imagine you just crumple it up and be like, bro, I play Call of Duty, I got this, okay? Imagine you would have said that. You idiot! The whole world is going to blow up. Imagine I told you. that the entire natural world relies on oxygen. You know what the spiritual world relies on? Them. Torah. This is a nerve center pumping spiritual energy into the world, and it saves the world from spiritual meteorites, and you can tap in. You are part of that army, tasked with not only gifted with reading and exploring the most blissful life on the face of the earth, but also pumping the world with spiritual energy, literally saving the world from spiritual meteorites. In 1943, a German U-boat, you know what a German U-boat is? A submarine. It got a telegram from an island off of Japan, and it was said, "We have a Jew, would you like him?" And the German U-boats were like, "Yeah." And they traveled, this German U-boat traveled 1,000 miles and picked up this Jew on a random island in Japan, and they shot him in the head, and they threw him into the Pacific Ocean, and they traveled 1,000 miles back. These people traveled 2,000 miles for one Jew. You want to know why? Because they knew the secret. Because even one Jew has the spiritual capabilities to spread spirituality in the world, that they wanted nothing to do with spirituality. Okay, here's one last story. Anyone here been to Spain? No? Recently I was in Spain. I had the privilege of going to Spain. I highly recommend going there. And in Spain, there's an area of Spain called Tarragona, Spain. Tarragona was led, it's near Granada and Barcelona and Malaga, if that means anything to you. And it was led by a man named Rav Yitzchak Arama. Rav Yitzchak Arama was more famously called the Akedas Yitzchak, one of the giant philosophers of Jewish history, up there with the Rambam, the Abarbanel, and the Ramban. And he lived in the 1400s, in the height of the Spanish Inquisition. And his 12th grade class, or whoever, came to him one day and said, Rabbi, we're becoming Christians. We're not asking you, we're telling you we're becoming Christians. We just have one question. When we become Christians, are we no longer Jewish? Are we going to get punished one day for not eating matzah and not shaking the lulav? Or we're not Jewish, we're not Jewish. Basically what they were asking was, is Judaism an intellectual religion, or it's a genetic religion? Meaning some religions, you just intellectually subscribe to that religion, you sprinkle some water on you and you're part of that religion, and then you change and you become part of another religion, and voila, you're part of that. Or it's not. You can run, you can't hide. So he turns to them and he says, "Sorry, Charlie, you can run, you can't hide, you are forever a Jew." And they turned to him and they said, "Excuse me, Rabbi, why is that fair? My great-great-great-grandparents accepted the Torah on Mt Sinai, so therefore I have to suffer, so therefore I have to deal with it? Why is it fair? I never chose this." So he said, "You're wrong, you're making a mistake." He said, your soul was at Mt Sinai, and it too chose the Torah." So they're like, we heard that before, Rabbi, very nice. How does my soul have the right to choose something for me? My soul, standing next to Moshe and Aaron and Miriam, the giants of Jewish history, how does it have the right to... What does it know anything about? It doesn't know anything about Spain in 1491, and in Austria in 1882, and Berlin in 1933, and America in 2024. What is my soul? How does my soul have the right to choose Torah for me? So he turns to me and says, "You're making a mistake. You guys are making a philosophical error. Your soul stood at Mt Sinai, and it knew everything about you. It knew everything that would ever happen in your life. It knew about Spain in 1491, and it knew about Vienna in 1555, and in Czechoslovakia in 1666, and it knew about Berlin in 1933, and America in 2024. It knew about everything you would go through, all your problems, all your struggles, all your self-doubts, all your anxieties, all the pills you'd be on. It knew about Mr. Beast and Too Perfect. It knew about everything. It knew about your abusive mother and the divorce and what went down one day behind the school. It knew everything. And nevertheless, it got up and it shouted loud and it shouted proud, Nasa v'nishma, I want in. Because this is the best existence on earth. And second place is in another stratosphere. I want it. And right at that exact moment, your neshama got a very perfectly tailor-made dose of holiness, perfect for you and your upbringing and the camps that you went to and the school that you go to and the struggles that you have and the strengths and the weaknesses and everything about you. Your neshama got a tailor-made dose of Kedusha. And by the way, you know how we nurture that little spark of Kedusha inside of you? You know how we nurture it and develop it? By learning Torah. It is nurtured and developed, and it comes out and we pump spiritual energy, and we remind the world of morality and ethical behavior and holiness and sanity when we learn Torah. When we connect ourselves in a world of infinity, in a world of insanity to infinity, a pipeline to heaven is established right above the head of anyone who learns Torah. I want to just end with a magic trick. How many mitzvahs are there in the Torah? How many organs and sinews are there in the body if you count all of them up? Organs and sinews.
248.
Organs and sinews. Amazing, right? That's not the magic trick. That's amazing. Isn't that cool? Think about that for a second. Okay, ready for this? Princeton level. Princeton. You have a phone? I can borrow a calculator? What's your name? More? Look at that. Here's a calculator. Ready for this? How many hours are there in a day? 24 hours in a day. How many days are there in a year? 365. Anyone take a guess how many hours that makes a year? If you can get this, I'll get you ready to Princeton.
That's a lot of hours.
8,760 hours in 1 year, okay? The average lifespan of a man, according to Jewish tradition, is 70 years. The average lifespan of a man is 70 years. And if you look historically, it's pretty much accurate because there have been many hundreds of years where people lived till 300 or 400 or 175, and there were a solid 1,000 years where people lived till they were 20. So the average, according to Jewish tradition, David Melech says in Tehillim, is 70 years. That means if there are 24 hours in a day, and there are 365 days in a year, there are 8,760 hours in a year. Do you know how many hours there are in an average lifespan of a man times 70? You ready for this? 613,000 hours in the average lifespan of a man. Right here. Is that coincidence? Of course not. There are 613 mitzvahs in the Torah. There are 613 organs and sinews in the human body, and there are 613,000 hours in the typical lifespan of a man. Why? Because the Torah is our everything. It's our every hour, of every year, of every month, of every week, of our existence. And you bet your bottom dollar that we will be here studying it no matter what. We will learn it, we will dance with it, we will cherish it, and I implore you, as you spend some time in BMG observing, the inspiration and takeaway should be, I gotta get involved. On a small scale, I gotta get involved. I want in on this. I want to be part of this life. I want to be part of the proud army of Hashem that is the last remaining people on earth who are holding up the torch of morality and purity and holiness in our planet. And I thank you all for listening. If anyone wants any questions, I'm happy to answer. But if not, all critiques, comments, and complaints can be directed to Rabbi Kramer in the back. And thank you for listening.